This is how we ride. This is how we do.
You know, a very interesting conversation has kind of came up on one of the comment sections of my video here that was about the Lincoln Speedway doing no more weekly racing broadcasts and just kind of doing events. Unnamed user said Port Royal is just announced they will stream all the races this year, so not a big loss for fans, for streaming fans, that Lincoln Speedway cut their schedule. Flow streaming per month is $12.50 for unlimited access. A typical track charges $20 per person per race. So in this economy, there are going to be fans who stream because they can't afford to attend. So do you actually think fans will care who is funded? I said no, fans don't care. But that's why fans don't get what's best for the economics of the sport. They're the consumer, not the producer. He goes, without the consumer, the producer doesn't exist. I said, without the producer, there is nothing to consume. I get the importance of fans, but this is literally Amazon versus the local hardware store. In a way, it very much so is. And he responded, Chaz, streaming gives sprint car fans a choice. Local tracks can cut all their weekly shows, but it will not stop streaming. The All-Stars High Limit will be on Flow. The Outlaws will be on Dirt Vision, racing at another track. You are never going to stop technology, and even local tracks hold responsibility. The owners accepted the checks years ago, which helped streaming grow. And it's a very interesting conversation here on where the limitations of streaming should be. You are going to have tracks. You are going to have situations where they're not necessarily hurting for fans to get into the stands. And the only negative to some of these situations is for, say, Lincoln to not be streaming their weekly events, but at the same time, Port Royal obviously runs on the same nights as Lincoln, and a fan who doesn't want to spend any money at either track is not going to attend either. And they're just going to stay home and watch Flow, watch the All-Stars wherever, watch the Outlaws wherever, and not attend either track. Now, for a situation like Port Royal, who has multiple avenues of revenue, you're not going to really feel that hit that much. You're still going to have your big marquee events that are going to bring in the big crowds as well, which will make you look like you're a destinational event. A lot of people are like, well, Port's always full. Well, if you look at some of their weekly-ish style events, because they don't have many, they're very one of the best racing schedules in the United States of America, they're not always full. And I've heard a lot of rumblings about the background or the attendance recordings there at Port Royal, even with streaming involved. So it's a very interesting scenario where a small business, the local hardware store of Lincoln Speedway, is not going to be able to survive, and the bigger entities will. Even the situation, I've made the comments in the past about Dirt Vision versus Flow. Dirt Vision is still technically the local hardware store to Flow. Flow is the Amazon of this situation. They have a hand in every cookie jar out there. It's not just Flow Racing, it's Flow Sports. Basically, it's not dedicated to racing to be successful. It has a hand in it. It's making a profit in it, I think. But Dirt Vision is solely responsible and solely dependent on dirt racing being successful. And if dirt racing isn't successful, Dirt Vision doesn't exist. Whereas dirt racing doesn't have to be successful for Flow to exist, who has multiple connections like the Warner Brothers, the World Wrestling Entertainment as well is an investor into Flow. Multiple avenues of sourcing for Flow in general. So we got to recognize some of this stuff, I think, and fans do need to recognize some of the dangers of the sport and recognize some of the economics of streaming and what it can do to impact your local racetrack. If you care about your local business owner and everybody wants to speak up, small business, and cheer and chant for them, your dollar bill and where you spend it is going to determine on how much you actually practice what you preach. So, with that being said, I think streaming is a conglomerate that we're going to have to push against just a little bit. Not necessarily canceling your subscriptions, but maybe putting on emphasis to attending racing facilities. I know it can be very comfortable to just sit back and watch streaming. I myself have been arguing, do I go to Florida or not? Because I could sit here and watch every single race that I want to and talk about it every single day. But I am going to make the trip down to Florida. I am going to go and attend events because I like humanality. So it's a very big, grand scheme of things, of economics and making things work and not work, but I like the local guy. I like the local hardware store. I like the regular stores. I'll go up and spend cash at a local store before I'll try to, spend my card on Amazon, because I understand the ripple effect that's involved here. And I think a lot more dirt track racing fans need to recognize this ripple effect. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I think. What do you think? Leave a comment below, like and share the video. I think this is a very serious subject at the end of the day. And be sure to subscribe. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen.
This is how we ride. This is how we do. Ride mud, sliding up.